realize that the Christian religion, and we'll start with that one, wasn't actually promulgated formally, in other words, until 680 AD, meaning almost 600 years after the resurrection of the man they called Jesus the Christ. Think about that. Let's start with that. The teachings of Jesus. We hear an awful lot about that because that seems to be the main. And I'm getting a timer now. I've had too many people tell me I talk too long, and I tell you it's only going to be 5 minutes, but it turns a little more. Well, do you realize that the teachings are right and they're all true, misunderstood because we didn't understand the language of the times. For instance, when Jesus said, "I'm the way, the truth, and the light," meaning that, yeah, I'm right there. I've got the truth. I'm the way. You follow what I teach, and you'll get it. When he said, "Follow me, be what I teach," and then he used the term "in my name." In my name, whoever does this, meaning in the way that I teach and what I say. That's what it all meant. Many things have been reinterpreted, and people take that Bible literally instead of the way it should be taken, as a teaching tool to get you to go within, let your own intuitive ability help you to the max and to be more. But those things that he said, and I'm going to explain a lot of them as we go on, but let's talk about after that resurrection. That's when the church basically got formulated. Man by the name of Saul, and that was a tax collector, scum of the earth, so to speak. People really never liked tax collectors. They grafted, they took a lot for themselves. Saul, who later became Paul because he had this great experience on the road to Damascus while he was collecting taxes, and he had a complete reformation. He completely became a disciple, you might say, of Jesus. The teaching just got to him because it is true. The teachings are true. And it got to him, and he started putting together a church, you might say. A church meaning in Greek, meaning a gathering place, a place for people to get together that are like-minded and discuss the same things and to learn about him. And so Paul traveled a lot for that time of the world. He went to Corinth and Rome and just in different places. Wound up in jail, of course, in prison, which is where he wrote most of his letters, and that made the bulk of the New Testament, what he wrote to these people. Again, that was for his time, and it also applied to those people. I find it so interesting that in the Catholic Church in particular, they have statues to saints and this and that, and the mother of Jesus, and it's a big thing. And yet, one of the things that Jesus said, that, or in Moses too, in the Ten Commandments, thou shouldn't have any graven images, meaning you don't need to worship anything except God. Well, a graven image usually referred in those days to something that was unsavory, an animal or something, but it also meant images. We don't need images. That's man-made. And the idea of a saint, that's man-made. They've adopted this person's a saint, that person's a saint. When Pansy, the Mrs. Gilly, and I were we were in Egypt, we had a couple of Catholic priests that were touring with us, and one of them told her that putting up with me would definitely put her in sainthood. She should be canonized for that. I kind of agree with that too. But the interesting thing about all this is during the Ecumenical Council, 680 AD, long after that, when they got together in Constantinople, and they came together and said, well, this has to be and that has to be, and they made rules and regulations for the church and how it was going to be. And I'm going to get into that before very long about how it really came to be and what all was said and done and why. And then you'll have a complete understanding. But the point I started to make and want to still make is, it's within you. All truth, wisdom, and knowledge is there. God put it there. It's part of you. Use your intuition, you might call it, or that little special knowing. You just kind of have a knowing when it's true or not. You really feel it when it makes sense to you. And that's what you know. Not what you believe, but what you know. Oh, did you hear that? That's my alarm telling me I've talked too long. Well, God bless you all. I'll see you next week.